Okay, here we are again, part 3. It's been a bit of a while coming. I obviously let the varnish cure. I actually dropped the pot, so I had to repair it, but that wasn't too much of a problem. So try not to do that yourselves. I'm a bit clumsy in that department at times. So right, we're going to start making the mould, the latex mould, for this planter cast. And I'm going to put about 30 coats of latex on this. So here goes for the first coat. Just stipple it in first of all so you get a good coverage. Just work it round. I've put 30 latex coats on this pot planter, and that's been left to cure for a fair amount of time, probably 4 weeks. I've heard that it's advisable to let your latex cure or vulcanise, so that it feels comfortable with its shape. So now what I'm going to do is to build up the mother mould. First of all, I'm going to put some cling film around the pot to act as a membrane between the mother mould, which I'm going to be making out of Plaster Paris bandages. Right, so here we go. First of all, I'm going to put a bit of talcum powder into the mould to stop its stickiness. I don't know if you can see that. Ooh, it's going all over the place. Put a line. Right, now I'm going to put the cling film. I'm going to put some cling film in the middle of the pot. So this is going to act as a membrane between the plaster bandage and the latex. And my cling film is being a pain on the roll. I've got some strips of Plaster of Paris bandage, and I'm going to layer these on the inside of the pot, and this is going to create our plug for the planter. And then we're going to build the main mother mould around that in 2 halves, and that'll obviously house the latex mould of the planter. Right, so here it goes. I've got my water here. So same as always, just dip the Plaster of Paris bandage into the water for a few seconds, and I'm just going to layer that inside the planter. You probably want to play around with the plaster bandage inside of the pot, and when it starts to get harder it's easier to play with, and you can get the plaster bandage to sit snugly against the side. So I'm going to put another layer on now. Just go around the edges. Right, so that's what we've done so far. There's a couple of layers there. It's still in the process of setting, and I'm going to go around with my hands again and just push that in to make sure that it's fitting close to the side of the mould. And there's a bit of water in there, and I'll empty that out in a moment. Okay, I'm going to put another layer on of plaster bandage now. Same process again, just to reinforce it a little bit more. Right, so that's seen as about 3 layers there. 2 layers are doubled up. I've emptied some of the water residue out of the bottom of the planter, or this part of the planter mother mould. I'm just going to put a toilet tissue in there and mop up a little bit more of the residue. Okay, right, I've cut off the bottom of an old bottle. This happens to be a vinegar bottle, and it fits quite snugly inside of this part of the mother mould. And I'm going to stuff this with just some old bits of plastic, leftover stuff, bit rubbish, bubble wrap, cling film, plastic bags, anything really, just to maybe reinforce that part of the bottle. So I'm just going to stuff that inside there. I'm going to insert that inside this part of the mother mould, and first of all I'm going to just line this with some plaster bandage. So here we go. So wrap that around the sides. I can move that to one side a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. This is all a bit bodgy, but it saves on a lot of work. So once I coat this, this should stick inside that part of the mother mould. Let's bring that back. I'm going to insert that inside there. And I've got a couple of bits left over. Just stick those into, scrunch them up. Just chuck them down the sides. Not especially pretty, but hopefully it'll work. Right, that's where we are at the moment. So the plastic bottle's filled in, and what I'm going to do is just go over the top with a few layers of plaster bandage just to finish this part of the mould off. Right, so there we are. That's pretty much set now. It's been left for a little while, and now I'm just going to trim the cling film away from the part that we've just done, just to neaten it up a little bit. Right, okay, we're going to do the main part of the mother mould in two halves. So there'll be a plaster of Paris shield or mother mould on either side, and they will link together. So I'm going to start off with the first half, and I'm going to put some cling film over the top. I think I might go over the entirety of the mould here. So obviously this is acting as a membrane. And just to put that right, so I've pretty much covered one half of the mould here. So what we're going to do now is create this half. I'm going to go, the first half is facing towards the camera, so I'm going to create the first part of the mould, and you'll see what I'm doing when I get started. There we go. Right, okay, so this has been let to set for a bit. I've left this here for about, I don't know, 3/4 of an hour. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trim this bit of cling film off, and I'm going to replace, well, not replace, but I'm going to cover the other half of the cling film and do pretty much the same thing again. Just smooth that out a bit. Alright, so I'll turn it the other way. And now I'm just gonna put this cling film over the top again, and making sure that it covers part of the other half of the mould that's already been done, so that the half that is created now or in a moment doesn't stick to this half of the mould, so it's easier to separate. Right, so same again. Just apply the Plaster of Paris bandage to the other side. I'm going to start from the top there. As you can see, overlapping onto the other mould, separated by the cling film. Just push it in. Right, I've left this to go hard. I should leave it a little bit longer really, but I'm going to demold it now for the purposes for the video. It's getting dark here. So here we go. Alright, that's come off quite nicely. What's coming off? I may have spoke too soon. Oh, what I was going to do, first of all, actually what I'll do it the other way around. I want to take a cut from the mould so that I know that it lines up, so I'm going to cut into it here. Items and such. Right, anyway, let's take this side out. So there we are. Cling film out. Also, with that mark there, I'm going to put that back on and also make a little bit of a mark on the top here. And on the top of the inside of the mother mould. So that lines up, so you can see it lines up also. Once that gets a bit harder, I'll engrave it in a bit better so it's more visible. Right, so anyhow, remove that. Okay, right, now try and remove this insert plug. Right, so that's come out quite nicely. So that'll only fit in, well, hopefully just fit in a certain way. Which is there. Right, okay. So that can only go in one way, which is good. So I'll take that out again. Take the cling film away from that. That's the plug, of course. Put that to one side. Right, now I'm going to demould the original pot. I'll actually make that cut a bit deeper before. And then get in on the latex so you can see that. That's a little navigation point. Right. Right, so first of all, I'll take this away from this piece of plastic I moulded the planter on. And demould the mould. Got a lot of cleaning up to do here. Right, so here it goes. Okay, so the mould has been demoulded from the original cast, the model, so I'll put that to one side. That's pretty much intact. And what I'll do now, clean the mould up. I'm going to just tidy the edges up, cutting around the edge. Right, okay, I've just tidied the mould up. I've already tied it up a little bit more, especially on the inside. There's a little marker there for the mother mould. So, put this mould back together, or the mother mould with the latex mould. I should put a mark, I don't know how to put a marker on. Oh, there we are, that fits in there quite nicely. Seems to. Let's put that side there. Now, right, so there we are, there's the mould finished, a bit rough and ready. So the next stage, in part 4, we will do the first cast of the planter from this pot using concrete. So yeah, when you're using this mould, I'll find something to put it in to level it out. Of course, when you're making your own, you can spend a bit more time on it to make it a little bit level. But this is just to give you an idea, and yeah, it is quite a rough and ready mould, but made moulds like this before and had no problems. And like I say, we prefer to use fiberglass, and will do in the future. Although Plaster Paris bandages are cheap and cheerful and relatively easy to work with, and you get a relatively fast result, which works. Okay, thank you very much, and over and out.